to address meetings. So it's also a learning curve for us to have a meeting of this nature. I can assure you that with people like Fana, Ringo, and Penny Maengani, and all the people who are in the industry who are directly involved in the EFF, I don't think there's any other party that hears the voice of creatives directly from inside than we do. So it was very important to hear once again from the horse's mouth. And you know, the president will address some of the key issues, but I just wanted to assure you for my part, as somebody who has been involved in this industry and who's very, very, very passionate about some of the issues that you're talking about, that some of the inputs will find themselves into the manifesto. Some will not find themselves into the manifesto, but you can rest assured that we have recorded, we have listened to everything. Even the proposals about having quarterly engagements, even if it's less than that, it might be twice a year or whatever, but there will certainly be continuity beyond even the elections. The last point I want to make is that you know the EFF. Even if we get one vote in the next election, we will be able to leverage that vote to make sure that this voice is amplified, that it is heard out there, and that it is not lost. And also the most important, because we are the economic freedom fighters, for us the most important thing is to leverage, is to make your voice to be used for economic leverage. If you think about it, when we talk about intellectual property, it's actually the same thing as land. Because property, the only difference between land and the intellectual property that is sitting in your heads here is that it is in your heads. But it's actually the same as property, and that property needs to be leveraged. So there's no difference between you and me as a lawyer, because I use my skills to contribute to the nation, and then I get rewarded for that. Same thing should be happening to this industry. Even more importantly, I can tell you now, your role in society is much more important than lawyers will ever be. Because without a creative industry, we are dead as a nation. It doesn't, so-called justice and all health and accounting and all these things are meaningless if we don't exist as a nation. With those few words, I think I'd like to introduce somebody who really is also passionate about this industry. Not only because he attends the gigs. He's a DJ in his own right.
Our national chairperson, our provincial chair, provincial secretary, the regional chairperson and members of the provincial command team, leaders of the EFF, the spokesperson, and I know that there are some of the fellow fighters who are with us here from the Gauteng leadership. Let's take this opportunity to thank Fana for having led a process to organize this consultation, but also to thank all of you for agreeing to come and speak to the leadership of the EFF. There are so many issues, and just in one day we cannot conclude all of them or listen to all of you. An important speaker said to us earlier on that Sunday is a family day, therefore you may want to go and conclude the day with your family, so to keep here the whole day will be unreasonable. We are not here to speak today, we are here to receive ideas, and I'm very happy that we received ideas. You are not all over, you came here prepared, you know what you want, and you know how those things can be done. To me, who hijacked the microphone after she spoke, for some reason I thought we must end this meeting, because that's what we need to do. You cannot have a country where the textile industry is declining because it's been flooded with fake goods from China and India and everywhere else. And then you have a country that doesn't pass a law that says to add gas. 50% or 60% of what you sell must come from here. And no, you don't need a revolution, nothing. No blood, no marching, no sweating, nothing. We just sit in parliament and say 60%. And then it's done like that, it becomes a law. Because we know why the levels of unemployment are like this is because the industry has collapsed. There is no longer fashion industry, there is no textile industry. When I grew up in Sishiwu, there were factories there where people were producing clothes. Those industries are closed now. So we need to find a solution to that. But because we are embedded to China, we are unable to take such a brave stand that says we need everything produced here in South Africa. The other point which we must do away with is this thing of saying 30% for black people. You know, I was being educated that this thing of affirmative action is for countries where black people are a minority. Okay, not black people. The affirmative action are for minorities, are not for majorities. So they are in a country where there are minorities, then you must pass law for affirmative action so that minorities are not excluded. We are in a country where affirmative action is passed for majority, not for minority. So majority is bargaining with the minority to be included in the mainstream economy. It's a complete, a distortion of how we need to deal with affirmative action. And all of us have joined in that chorus as if we are a minority. We are asking for 30%. When you say there is no transformation, you are saying even that 30% is not met. It must be the other way around. So we must get 70% and 30% must go to the minorities so that they are not excluded. So we must do exactly that. It's doable, and please don't complain about white people. They don't have a problem with those guys. They understand. They want a political will. Those people want a political will. They are the most understanding people. But in the absence of the political will, they take advantage. Yeah. So look at the land. When we started with the land, it was a taboo. And everybody else said this will lead to the collapse of the economy, this cannot be done. But now everybody is participating on how best can we transfer the land into the hands of the people. And the white people have not left. And they will not leave. We were told they were going to leave. They will not leave. Now they are aware that this is what the people want to do with their country. How do we continue to survive under those conditions? So we must take decisions. We must be able to say, this is what we want to do with the industry. And they will look at it and say, how do we navigate? How do we continue to make the money? Because it's not true that investment will leave. Investment exists even in countries where there are civil wars. Actually, they finance the civil wars. Where there is blood on the floor. Why would people live where there is no blood on the floor? There's just a discussion amongst people. People are talking. And then you want to leave. And you also buy into that narrative that no, actually if you continue to talk, these people will leave. But these people are not living in a country where there is blood on the floor. They were not going to leave Zimbabwe, by the way. Even now they want to go into Zimbabwe. They left Zimbabwe because their other countries imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe. But they were going to try and navigate within Zimbabwe and try to survive within Zimbabwe with clear policies. They're doing that in China. Chinese policies are not friendly. They are not free market friendly. Most of the big companies you want to talk about in China, they are state-owned, by the way. So there's no Chinese person who comes here without Chinese government money. When you say there is a Chinese construction bank, these are the directors, it's just a catering. There's government of China owning that. The Alibaba, the guy, Jack Ma is a member of the Communist Party, the Chinese Communist Party. Remember, communists are not needed anywhere in the world. We can't work with communists and all that. But they are working with Alibaba, despite the fact that it's a communist from a communist country. Why? The Chinese are very clear of what they want to do. You either work with them based on what they want to do, or you don't work with them. But at least they know what they stand, what they want and where they stand. We don't know where we stand. We don't know where we stand. There is no SABC in crisis here. We must give SABC a guarantee to go and get the money and pay. There's no crisis. The SABC is looking for a guarantee from government. We don't give SABC a guarantee, an institution that is used by all, including the poor of the poorest. Then SAA wants a guarantee, which is not used by the poor of the poorest, is given from time to time. Not guarantee, by the way, bailout. So SABC is not asking for bailout, it's asking for guarantee. Or not, just give us a letter that says you will cover us. We'll use that letter to go and raise money so that they can pay. Then they don't want to give the SABC a guarantee. In that way, they make people like Claudi heroes. Because now it looks like since Claudi left, the SABC is collapsing. So you're making thugs appear like they are heroes of our people by refusing to do a simple thing. Because we cannot allow the SABC to collapse. Without the SABC as a country, it's the most powerful institution, by the way, because even when you conduct a coup, when they take over government by force, they don't go to Union Building. The first place to go to is SABC. Once you capture SABC, then you can effect an effective coup. That's how important it is. Anyone who's going to start with going to Union Building by starting the coup, when you go to the Union Building, the president is going to go to the SABC and tell the country to go to the streets and defend their country against criminals who have taken over the building in Pretoria. And the people will rise against you. So you first capture the mouth, you close the mouth. That's what kidnapping people do, they close your mouth. So you capture the mouth. Then once you are done there, you know half the job is done. That's how important the SABC is. And we cannot have such an important institution collapsing under our watch, unless if Stellenbosch and Randburg have taken a decision that SABC must collapse so that it gives rise to multi-choice and all those type of things. We don't know what type of discussions are taking place and when. But in whose interest is this thing happening of the SABC collapsing? So you need to give the SABC guarantee, and then you need a proper board, and the proper board must say to the management, of all the people you are owing, how many of those people are our people? So our people mean the small, emerging, black and women who are being owed by the SABC. They must be given a priority, because a small, emerging cannot survive if you owe them for more than a month. You are effectively closing them down. So if you are serious about empowering black people, you say, no, bring this thing here, put the list here, tell us how many of these people are black, how many of them are women. And then we start with them. We start by paying them. The white Afrikaner males will be paid last. Once we are done with paying these people so that they can produce more content for themselves. It must be deliberate like that. Even if the white males go to court, they can't win it. It's affirmative action. It's their affirmative action. Or we must give priority to the emerging ones because they can't run this business for long if we are owing them for more than 3 months. So there are a lot of people who have been owed the SABC for a very long time. We need to sort that out. We need to sort out the funding model, and the brother has articulated very well that it must have maximum impact, because if it's all over, we can't feel it. So it must be structured, it must have impact. Where do you start? You've got proposals yourself, and I like those proposals. There must be a body that derives its